The first step that I want to talk about is not committing fraud. And I'll just tell you that I didn't always tell businesses this because I thought this one was kind of obvious. But I've run into a few problems since I started my law practice where I have seen business owners do relatively simple things, mistakes, everyone knows they're wrong, that cause really big consequences. And so I want to zero in on not committing fraud. And just to make it clear what fraud is, a fraud is some kind of lie or deceit that is intended for personal gain. Sometimes it's criminal. There are cases where people go to jail for fraud, but not always. There are some cases where something relatively simple is fraud, but isn't criminal. And a good example is writing a bad check or bouncing a check. And I'll just tell you the case in mind that I saw earlier with a business owner who had some liabilities in their business and they couldn't pay them. They had a lawsuit against them and they weren't going to be able to come up with enough money to pay the lawsuit. And so the bank that was suing them wanted to go after their personal assets. And then the bank found out that the business owner bounced a check. And they were able to use that to break through this wall right here and go after the personal assets. And they won a judgment against their assets for something like $1.2 million. I do not think that the check that bounced was for a $1.2 million check. It might have been a $5 check. That's all it takes. Because if you know that there's not enough money in your account, or if you should know that there's not enough money in your account, and you bounce a check, then that is considered fraud, and that it puts a hole in this protective layer between your business and your assets. But fraud comes in all shapes and sizes. We'll talk a little bit more about it in this video. But just remember the basic definition. If you're being dishonest with the intent to make some kind of personal gain, then that is fraud. So please stay far, far away from that.